Welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I am Aga Jo, and here are today's reports. State Counsellor calling for public cooperation in fight against COVID-19, YSX holding its 2020 Expo as online exhibition with live seminar. CMP garment sector faced severe struggles due to collapse of demand, and Yangon becoming deserted as number of COVID-19 cases surges. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news for today. The first meeting of the Joint Commission for Trade and Industrial Cooperation between Myanmar and the Republic of Korea was organized via video conferencing yesterday afternoon. Union Minister for Commerce Dr. Thamien and Minister for Trade, Industry and Energy Mr. Song Yong-mo jointly chaired the meeting. In his discussion, Union Minister Dr. Thamien discussed the enhancement of the economy, trade ties, investment, industry and energy sectors between the two countries, measures to overcome the economic crisis through such cooperation. Korean Minister Mr. Song Yong-mo talked about the investment in Myanmar in the sector of the garment industries. He also discussed increasing investment of his country and assistance to Myanmar for its products to the global consumer markets. Union Minister for Hotels and Tourism, Wu Ong-mao, presided over the video conferencing meeting for the performance of the ministry regarding its completed works and future functions for COVID-19 Tourism Relief Plan under the COVID-19 Economic Relief Plan (CERP) of government. Yesterday morning, the MOHT has adopted the Myanmar Tourism Relief Plan to provide the development of the Myanmar tourism industry in the outbreak of COVID-19 and in post-COVID-19 period. Deputy Minister for Hotels and Tourism Wu Tin-let, Director General for the Directorate of Hotels and Tourism Wu Mao-jo, ministry officials, chairperson, and executive members of the Myanmar Tourism and its 11 associate members joined the meeting. During the meeting, Union Minister Wu Ong-mao explained the tourism relief plans of his ministry in detail, which was carried out within a fixed duration in COVID-19 period, including future working plans. He also urged the attendees to give suggestions for the COVID-19 tourism relief plan. Myanmar fisheries sector is hit hard by the coronavirus fallouts, and the Ministry of Commerce is endeavoring to penetrate the U.S.'s fish and seafood market. Yangon Region Fisheries Department stated that the offshore fishing season commenced on the 1st of September, and fish and shrimp supply has entered Yangon starting from the 7th of September. Myanmar fishery products exports to countries in Asia have been severely affected by the global coronavirus outbreak. To effectively mitigate the impacts of the pandemic, the ministry is accelerating the concerted efforts to enter the U.S. fish market. Bansoran-Dalat ferry line has reduced its operation routes because of the declining number of commuters and prevention of the coronavirus transmission, according to the Delta Division of Inland Water Transport (IWT). Yangon Bansoran-Dalat ferry operations have reduced their routes to 30 starting from the 12th of September because there are fewer passengers on board the ferry boats and because they want to control and prevent the pandemic spreading, according to IWT. And I believe it's time now for our first report. State Counsellor Daw San Suu Kyi, in her capacity as the chairperson of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, in her speech mentioned that the government is to support in all necessary aspects for dealing with COVID-19, and the public cooperation by strictly following the rule can help the government in successfully fighting against COVID-19. Dora Susan has more.
The resurgence of COVID-19 is severely striking Yangon, with the rising number of confirmed cases to about 2,000 out of over 3,500 total cases until 16th September. Under the guidance of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, Yangon is preparing both in restricting the people and upgrading the necessary facilities. Concerning the latest situation of COVID-19 in Yangon, State Counsellor Daw San Suu Kyi, in her capacity as the chairperson of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, delivered the televised speech. She said,
ကျမတို့အခုရန်ကုန်မှာအများဆုံးဖြစ်နေတယ်ဆိုတာလေပြည်သူပြည်သားတွေအားလုံးသိပြီးသားဖြစ်ပါ All people know that Yangon has the most infection cases. This is because Yangon has the highest population density. People move about a lot. It has the highest number of people coming in and going out. So I have to say that there have been some weaknesses in following the rules and regulations. If all of us followed the rules and regulations strictly, beginning from now with full cooperation, we will be able to contain the situation in Yangon in the near future. Among those who passed away, the majority are elderly persons with underlying diseases. Young people sometimes do not show symptoms because they have good immunity. About 70% of the infected patients do not show any symptoms of the disease. This, in itself, is a danger. Family members can become infected by the asymptomatic person. There can be older adults in the family. There can be people with underlying diseases. That is why if one person becomes less in following rules and regulations, this person could be a great danger to those around him. That's why I want each and everyone to be careful.
Not only the confirmed cases are increasing, the death rate is also getting higher comparing to that of earlier period. Since majority of the people do not show any symptoms, it is highly requested to the public to stay at home as much as possible in order not to be infected or be a silent carrier.
We have adopted proper and suitable rules and disciplines in this matter. People are required to abide by these rules strictly. I'm grateful to the civil service personnel for their efforts on the front lines. People are advised to appreciate the efforts of civil service personnel. Mutual encouragement is required at present. The only thing I ask the people is to follow the rules and regulations. The resurgence of COVID-19 began in the middle of August. People have noticed the transmission of the disease in early September and have developed more awareness of the disease. Now it is the third week of September. If we could take control measures systematically, the fruitful results would come out within 1 or 2 weeks.
The restrictions include imposing stay-at-home order, restricting going in and out of the region, restaurants providing only takeaway services, closure of schools, courses, cinema, pagodas, time-limited curfew, and banning on mass gatherings. For the control and treatment sector, the hospitals are upgraded and the facility quarantine period is reduced to 14 days in order to receive more people. A temporary hospital at the football training field in front of the Tuana Stadium of Yangon to receive positive patients.
နိုင်ငံတော်ကနေပြီးတော့လုပ်ပေးတင်တာတွေအားလုံးကျမတို့လုပ်ပေးမှာပါကျမတို့ကစေဝါပစ္စည်းတွေလည်းလုံလုံလောက်လောက်ရှိအောင်လို့ကျမတို့လုပ်ပေးပါမယ်
The union government will provide all the possible assistance to the people. We will arrange for sufficient medical supplies. More medical treatment centers are being set up to cope with the increasing number of patients. More quarantine centers are being established, and the volunteers are contributing their services at these facilities. I wish to make a plea to the volunteers and professionals to assist and cooperate in the efforts of our union government. I believe our people will provide assistance where needed. I would like to make a special appeal to this. I want to urge the people to cooperate in COVID-19 control and containment measures, especially in Yangon with the spread of COVID-19 infections. I want to request to the people to have absolute confidence and firm determination to overcome this challenge.
အားလုံးကျမချမ်းသာကြပါစေနေမကောင်းတဲ့လူတွေလည်းအများဆုံးကျမကြပါစေ
That's a report on State Counsellor calling for public cooperation in the fight against COVID-19. The YSX Expo 2020 also featured the live broadcast of the first live panel discussion on the topic post-COVID-19 investment in Myanmar and the second live broadcast of the panel discussion foreign investment in Myanmar stock market at YSX Expo 2020. Also, for those who want to trade stocks at a special program, the open stock account via online at YSX Expo 2020 for free by connecting with the relevant securities companies. Hyodiridu and Heimila have more.
The Yangon Stock Exchange convened its annual YSX Expo 2020 as first online exhibition and live seminar on 12 and 13 September. Due to COVID-19, the expo was held in a digital format using a web-based online platform instead of a public event. It was pre-registered via the registration link www.ysx.expo2020.online. An interview talk program regarding the economic situation amid and post periods of COVID-19 in Myanmar was showcased by the officials from YSX 6 listed companies. Utatong, Executive Senior Manager of YSX, spoke to MI Radio about the convention of YSX Expo 2020.
Digital Yangon Stock Exchange Yangon Stock Exchange Expo, YSX Expo.
The Yangon Stock Exchange has held its expo annually, and this year was the fourth time for us. With the incident of the pandemic, YSX Expo 2020 was not held on a grand scale, just like those in previous years, in digital format using online platform. The YSX Expo 2020 featured digital exhibitions. There were also online seminars and online workshops with financial and economic experts, as well as the other financial professionals invited for the online seminars and workshops. The investors from all over the country had a chance to open an online trading account at Yangon Stock Exchange via online. Many enthusiasts on Stock Exchange pre-registered on Facebook page of YSX and YSX official website and attended the expo with new normal format.
The YSX Expo 2020 also featured the live broadcasts of the first live panel discussion on the topic, post-COVID-19 investment in Myanmar, and the second live broadcast of the panel discussion, foreign investment in Myanmar stock market at YSX Expo 2020. In addition, for those who want to trade stocks as a special program, they opened stock account via online at YSX Expo 2020 for free by connecting with relevant securities companies. Apart from digital exhibition and investment seminars, the digital booths of YSX and its 6 listed companies, FMI, MDSH, MCB, FBB, DMH Telecom, and EFR, as well as YSX digital security companies, MSEC, KBZSC, CBSC, KDZRH, and UABSC. The lucky draw program for YSX Expo 2020 also included with laptop, smartphone, and digital watch and many City Mart gift cards. The good news is that the online Expo 2020 will be extended until September 18 of 2020 for those who have watched the Expo and have not yet seen it while staying at home. Utatong also spoke about the basic training course and regular course arrangements for the Yangon Stock Exchange.
The online course took 4 months to cover all the fundamentals of stock exchange, and the training course consists of real trainings conducted by experienced persons in the field of stock exchange here in YSX, question and answer sections, and other facts regarding YSX and stock market. About 180 participants attended the first batch of YSX online course. The advanced course of the stock market will be run during the final quarter of the year 2020. So the trainees who have finished the basic training can directly join the advanced course.
Utatong also mentioned that there are more companies to add to Yangon Stock Exchange. The YSX is conducting the inspection for ensuring these companies get listed as soon as possible. For 2020, YSX will continue to struggle with existing companies and new entrant companies. He also said that the investors can be on the lookout for the announcement of new entrants soon.
That's the report on YSX holding its 2020 Expo as online exhibition with live seminar. More than 70% of the Myanmar's garment products are exported to the European Union, and then the rest are exported to Japan, Republic of Korea, Canada, United States, China, and other countries. So far, the EU and the entire world face coronavirus. The garment sector's supply chain is particularly severely hit. It has led to a collapse of demand for CMP industry in Myanmar. Pyo Dewi has more.
Myanmar's garment sector, especially the cut-make-pack (CMP) garment factories, is facing severe struggles due to the collapse of demand from the EU, Japan, and South Korea, said U Tonton, a member of Central Executive Committee of Myanmar Garment Manufacturers Association. If we say that the garment sectors in Myanmar, they are only 1% to 2% of the factories targeting the domestic market, and the rest from 98% to 99% of the garment factories in Myanmar rely on the orders from the global markets. More than 70% of Myanmar's garment products are exported to the European Union, and then the rest are exported to Japan, Republic of Korea, Canada, US, China, and other countries. So far, the EU and the entire world face coronavirus crisis. The garment sector's supply chain is particularly severely hit. It has led to a collapse of demand for CMP industry in Myanmar. U Tonton, a member of Central Executive Committee of Myanmar Garment Manufacturers Association, spoke to MI Radio about the struggles of CMP garment sector.
ကုန်ကျန်းအများစုအထည်လေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ကုန်ကျန်းအများစုကလည်းကျွန်တော်ကပောင်မှာဒီလိုပြည်သူသမ္မတနိုင်ငံကပဲဟိုယူကြတာများတယ်လေအဲ့ခါကျတော့အဲ့ဒီမှာကျွန်တော်ကုန်ကျန်းပြက်လက်မှုနဲ့ကျွန်တော်ကြုံတွေ့ရတယ်ပထမ
Since the early occurrence of the COVID-19, the garment factories in Myanmar were forced to stop running over time due to the significant disruption on the supply. Around 90% of the supplies came from China, which was blocked exporting and importing because of the infection in January. When the factories tried to run the operation, the outbreak appeared spreading all over the world. The buyer countries cannot offer and even cancel the orders. So the garment manufacturers in Myanmar are struggling for a decline in revenue.
A few factories are still running the operation, but only because COVID-19 restrictions disrupted their operations, and they need to complete old orders. Donita Mo, factory owner of Shui Siza Garment, said.
Most of the factories aiming at the local market have completely stopped operations after Dinjan holidays, but some factories will still running their operation for export market. We are just producing the garments for the old orders. Before COVID-19 period, we used to have 6 months ahead plan for every year, but during this pandemic, we can only plan for over a month until the mid of October. We don't know exactly if new orders will enter or what will happen after these months. The reoperation of export garment factories depends on their respective background buyer countries. Although we are facing many struggles, we don't want our workers to become jobless. The factory workers do not want to get compensation from their employers, but they just want stable job opportunity for a long-term period. Although the tailoring industry is at a loss for several months, the local owners of tailoring factories tend to struggle during this COVID-19 situation rather than stopping the whole operation and shutting down the factories.
U Tonton, a member of Central Executive Committee of Myanmar Garment Manufacturers Association, also said.
We didn't
expect that the pandemic would take so long at first, so we were planning for the renovation and to empower the workers' skill. But it becomes hard for the factories to survive this situation for long. Even though the government has helped the garment sector by providing the loan package, the effectiveness is barely seen due to huge losses in the sector. It will take only a few days for the factories to share the remaining old orders. The CMP factories can perform for the local market. The demand for the local market is just enough for the factories targeting the local people. If the CMP factories will enter the local market, only the market and the suppliers will be ruined. The recovery processes are going to be performed after the outbreak.
Over 500,000 people are employed in the garment sector. There are around 420 factories as MGMA members, including 236 Chinese-owned operations, 67 Republic of Korea, 20 Japanese factories, and 92 factories based domestically. Myanmar earned around $4 billion, 5.3 trillion jets from CMP garment exports in 11 months in the 2019 to 2020 fiscal year, a year-on-year decline on $65 million, according to the Ministry of Commerce.
That's the report on CMP garment sector facing severe struggle due to collapse of demand. Due to the increasing number of COVID-19 confirmed cases in Yangon, rules and regulations are laid down, including the stay-at-home order imposed on some townships. The workforce of the government staffs are reduced to half in alternate duty assigned, and many organizations and companies also adapted work-from-home plan. This leaves the crowded places and roads of Yangon with fewer people. So May Ao Nauli and Yen I have more.
The Ministry of Health and Sports on 9th of September announced it has extended stay-at-home instructions to 21 more townships in Yangon with the purpose of effectively controlling the infection of the virus as the confirmed cases are rising in Yangon. The ministry also announced on 1st of September that 7 townships in the commercial city has to follow the stay-at-home order. Therefore, the townships that the stay-at-home order has been imposed bring the total number to 28. The regional government issued announcements that the residents in 44 townships of Yangon region, except Gogojun, must stay at home and not travel as the stay-at-home order has been imposed. During this COVID-19 prevention, control, and treatment period, the residents must follow the orders and directives by staying at home, and those who are going out for the apparent reasons and the employees who are going to respective work sites are seen moving in the commercial city. Unyinyi Regional Representative of Takomyote South Constituency 1 said,
The COVID committee in our township is working on a campaign daily in the roads and streets to educate the public to wear masks if they go out in public. During this stay-at-home period, the COVID committee of the township is discussing the administration of the wards with the parliament representatives and the NGOs. The administrators of the wards are now warning the families to reduce the people who go out and to follow the rules. In these days, there are fewer people on the roads, and those who go out are wearing masks. The participation of the public is very important, and it becomes stronger. Thus, this COVID will be washed off faster.
The Ministry of Health and Sports on 14th of September announced that there are 1,541 COVID-19 confirmed cases who are taking medical treatment at the hospitals in Yangon region. Apart from this, the respective general administration officers already announced the orders that all the restaurants and cafes have to provide only takeaway service starting from 8th of September. Wu Ao, a taxi driver from Tamwe Township, said,
According to the updated news, the death toll is increasing and the infection rate is also rising rapidly. So there are no people on the roads and there is no trouble. Therefore, we taxi driver have no customer on the roads. Some days I don't earn enough money for our family expenses. Due to the consequences of rising death toll, more infectious cases, people are panicked and afraid to go outside. Sometimes they go outside only when they have important matters. Therefore, we have very rare chances to get customers.
The local authorities had instructed all of the shops, including pharmacy stores, restaurants, and groceries, around the crowded places such as Yusana Plaza, Mingala Market, Xuebieso Market, to be closed starting from 12th of September. Go Danso Trishoman from the Community North Township said,
Our family is facing lots of difficulties in our living. As people are staying at home, we have got no passengers this day. Actually, we are in big troubles while all of the businesses have been stopped and people are staying at home. We depend on the trishaw, so this time, some people dare not go out. We are not okay with our living because of the stay-home order. And so we have to stay at home and earn nothing. And the bus, our business, one wall.
The people who are eligible to stay at home are to stay at home only, except who are working in the government offices, companies, industries, and factories. Only one person to go out for necessary buying. Only 2 people to go to the clinic if necessary. To wear masks whenever going out. Only authorized vehicles to pass through the walls for transporting the workers. Only 1 person apart from the driver when going to the market. Only 3 persons, including the car driver, to go to the hospital or clinic if necessary.
That's the news on Yangon becoming deserted as the number of COVID-19 cases surge. Now to international news. Yoshihide Suga took office as Japan's newly elected prime minister on Wednesday, forming a cabinet of familiar faces as he pledges to stay the course set by his predecessor Shinzo Abe. Suga held his first news conference as prime minister, addressing important issues in Tokyo on Wednesday evening. He said the immediate focus would be reviving the battered economy while keeping the COVID-19 pandemic under control. Suga said that the biggest challenge currently facing Japan was the spread of the novel coronavirus. He added that there was a need to balance the fight with the virus with economic revival. Palestine on Tuesday said that the signing of the normalization agreements between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain in Washington will not achieve peace in the Middle East region. In a press statement, the Palestinian presidency said that Palestinians will not accept the consequences of the agreements as long as the United States and Israel do not recognize the Palestinian people's right to establish their independent state on the borders of 1967 with East Jerusalem as its capital. Besides, the Palestinian refugee issue must be resolved under UN Resolution 194, said the statement. Less than 10% of the globally reported COVID-19 cases and less than 0.2% of deaths have been people under the age of 20. But more research is still needed on the risk of severe disease and death among children and adolescents, the chief of the World Health Organization, WHO, said on Tuesday. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus at a press briefing on Tuesday that it is known that the virus can kill children, but that children tend to have a milder infection and there are very few severe cases and deaths from COVID-19 among children and adolescents. Meanwhile, the potential long-term health effects on infected children and the adolescents remain unknown. China has welcomed the World Trade Organization's recent findings, which say President Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods violate global trade regulations. The Chinese Foreign Ministry calls the ruling objective and fair.
近一个时期，美国个别政客
Recently, some U.S. politicians have repeatedly smeared China. The WTO's panel report has proved that it's the U.S. that has been breaking international rules. The U.S. has been using international organizations solely for its own interests. China will always safeguard the multilateral trade system with the WTO at its core.
A panel at the WTO issued the ruling Tuesday. Washington reacted with anger. Trump initiated a trade war with China in 2018. The U.S. has slapped additional tariffs on more than $500 billion worth of Chinese goods. China has retaliated with tariffs on more than $180 billion of U.S. goods. On Monday, China decided to extend existing tariff exemptions for 16 U.S. products for another year.
That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today. Hope everyone is staying safe.